My name's Megan McCoy and I'm the Director of the Office for Disability Issues. My colleague Victoria is going to talk to you soon. Now, the first thing I wanted to do was to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated in the first phase of consultation to develop this brand new National Disability Strategy. We had over 500 people turn out to workshops all around the country, and we had over 600 submissions from individuals, family members and organisations in the disability sector. This is such a fantastic result, and I feel really pleased, mainly because I think we've been able to develop a great new draft strategy on the basis of what you've all told us is important. Now, what are we going to do today? So I'm going to talk you through this new strategy. I'll explain the different sections within it. I'll give you a little bit of background information before we begin, because I know for some of you, you might not have participated in the first phase. This might be the first time you're having a conversation about a disability strategy. Then Victoria's going to talk to you about things from her perspective as a member of the expert reference group, which has been guiding this work. And then we're going to ask you some questions. We want to know what you think about this strategy. We're looking forward to your feedback, and we've got some questions that we'd like your help with. So firstly, a bit of background. Last year, in 2015, the government said that we could develop a new disability strategy, and that was because things had moved on and changed quite a bit since the first one was agreed in 2001. And all of you would know, of course, that one of the biggest changes since then was the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which our government agreed to in 2008. So early this year, to kick off the development of this new strategy, we established an expert reference group to help us with this work. And then over the last few months, we've had that consultation around the country with the online surveys and feedback that people have been giving us. Since we finished that first phase of consultation, we've been working really hard to read and analyse everyone's feedback and to try and understand what are the most important things to disabled people in the disability community to help us develop this new strategy. So we've been working with the expert reference group, and thank goodness for their advice and feedback on this momentous task. And then we've recently gone back to government to say, last year you said we could develop a strategy. We went out and we asked people what they thought. We asked them what were the most important things in their lives, and this is what we said. And we asked them if we could go out for a second phase of consultation to see whether or not the strategy actually reflects the things that you told us, and they said yes. So here we are today. So just before I kick off into what this new strategy looks like, I thought I might just clarify what a strategy actually is, because that's one of the things that came up in the first phase of consultation. Some people thought we were talking about a new law, but a strategy is not law. So what is it? Well, a strategy for the government, just like for any other organisation, is something that sets out a goal that we want to achieve. It's about what is the positive future for us and what should that look like. It's about what are the problems that we want to solve. And the strategy is the thing that describes the direction. What are the key things that we need to do to achieve that goal, to achieve that positive future, and to solve those problems? That's what this strategy is. It's a strategy for the government to guide direction on things that are important to disabled people for the next 10 years. So what's in this new strategy? Well, the first thing that it does is it sets out a new vision, and that is New Zealand is an enabling society, a place where disabled people have the same opportunities as everyone else to achieve outcomes. Their aspirations become a reality, and all of New Zealand works together to achieve this. The next part after the vision is about who we are, who is our community. And this is where we wanted to try and reflect the rich diversity of disabled people, of the community, and of New Zealand. It's hard because we know that no two disabled people are the same. There's lots that we could say, but we tried to do our very best in this section to try and represent the diversity that you told us about. And we wanted to make sure that it was right up front in the strategy so that everyone reading it would know that. So the next part is what's important to us. And this is about the principles and approaches that should guide all action underneath the strategy. It starts with the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. This is a New Zealand strategy. It's for our country. We needed to make sure that that was right up front. What comes next is the principles from the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. We think those are really helpful and they should also guide work under the strategy. So then a big part of the strategy is the 8 outcome areas, and these are based on the things that you told us were the most important to you. Each strategy has an outcome statement, and that's about disabled people having the same outcomes or being treated the same way as non-disabled people. We then have a description of what our future looks like, and that is aspirational in there. And the reason for that is because we want the strategy to guide action for the next 10 years and into the future as well. This is a description of what needs to change in order for those outcomes to become realised. Now, the 8 outcomes in the strategy are education, employment, health and well-being, justice, accessibility, attitudes, choice and control, and leadership. So as I mentioned earlier, how this strategy will be put into practice is really important. It's one of the things that you told us you wanted to see change the most. Now the way we will do this is through the Disability Action Plan. I'm sure many of you have heard of this. It's the plan that brings together more than one government agency to work together on things that are important for disabled people. Now, the reason why we're using the Disability Action Plan as the primary vehicle to put the strategy into practice is because it already exists. We didn't think that it was sensible to establish something new and separate. However, there is going to be a change. Now, you might know that the Disability Action Plan was designed to focus on only those actions that required more than one government agency to work together on. Future disability action plans will include actions for single government agencies. And the reason for this is because we need those to be in there to help implement the strategy. And we also think it's important to be really clear and transparent around what all of the priorities are, including those things that are just for one government agency. Now, it is important for me to say that future disability action plans won't include every single thing that government agencies are doing. This would make it a really, really long list, and it would make it difficult for us all to understand what's happening and to be able to monitor progress. So just as we have now, disability action plans will still include only those actions that are high priority and significant. This will help make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what the priorities are and what progress is. Now, the other thing about using the Disability Action Plan is that every time it's updated or we're developing a new one, we will have public consultation to make sure that we're getting the priorities right. Now, we wanted to make the strategy really strong because you said you wanted it to have teeth. So there are 4 things that I wanted to tell you about that I think makes this strategy really strong. The first thing is that it's got 8 outcomes. These are the things that are easy to understand, we can talk about with anyone, and it's easier to have a list of 8 things rather than a big long list of things that we sometimes might forget what's down the bottom. So that's the first thing. The second thing that makes this strategy strong is that it will be implemented through the Disability Action Plan. We have a practical way of making sure that the vision and the outcomes in this new strategy will be put into practice through a mechanism that we understand and we know how it works. The third thing that will make this new strategy strong is that it will have an outcomes framework, something that we've never had before. We will have indicators and measures and targets for all of the outcome areas, and that's going to help us make sure that we're keeping track of progress. Finally, the fourth thing that makes this strategy strong is that there will be regular progress reporting on it, both to the government and out there to you and the public. And so now I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Victoria Manning, who was the co-chair with me of the Expert Reference Group.
Kia ora. I've been involved in the Expert Reference Group, who've had meetings regularly up until now regarding the new disability strategy and what it should include. The Expert Reference Group is mostly made up of disabled members and also family members of disabled people. The Expert Reference Group has had in-depth discussions and identified many things that are priorities to consider for the new disability strategy. One example that we have discussed in depth is around the vision. Megan explained just before me that the vision for the next strategy has fine words. The new vision and the old vision are similar, but what disabled people know is what we want. And what we want is our lives to have equality with other people and our rights to, in effect, be the same as other people. We want good education, we want good job opportunities, we want to be involved in the community and connect with our community. We want good homes, healthy homes. We want access to information, learning, access to services, the same as other people in New Zealand do. Basically, we want to have the same rights as everybody else in New Zealand. The current situation, equality does not exist for people with disabilities. In fact, things are quite unequal. So, in order to rectify that gap, we need to have the strategy, which includes actions to achieve equality. One other thing that the reference group talked about and was very clear about in terms of a priority is that the disability strategy is for disabled people. We've been very clear about that. However, if disabled people experience equality, there are flow-on effects. Our family benefits, our communities benefit, New Zealand society benefits, and New Zealand's economy benefits. There are a lot of cascading effects from disabled people having equality. But the disability strategy in itself is for disabled people, and its heart contains disabled people. Another aspect that the expert reference group discussed was that the new strategy needed to be stronger. I'll explain what I mean by that. The previous strategy had a great vision. It had a list of actions, which were great. But in terms of the implementation and achievement of those actions, it hasn't been so effective. So what we've said strongly in our gatherings is that there needs to be a strong action focus, implementation focus, and achievement of the goals stated in the strategy. We want to see real change and real improvement in our everyday lives. So in summary, the disability strategy is basically for disabled people. Disabled people at the heart of the document. What's really important is that you tell us what you think about the strategy. Is it along the lines that you're thinking it should be? Do some things need to be changed in the draft? Give us your feedback. If what's stated in the strategy is to be achieved, would it make a difference to your lives? Please tell us what you think.
So as Victoria mentioned, we're looking for your feedback. We really want to hear what you think about this new draft strategy. You told us what was important to you and your life in the first phase of consultation, and now's the time to tell us whether you think we're on track. So in looking at this new strategy and thinking about your feedback, there's 4 areas where we would be really grateful for your ideas and suggestions. And the first is on the vision. Does this feel right? Is this what you want your country to look like in future? The second area where we would appreciate some help is on the principles and approaches, on the things that are important to us in implementing this strategy. Is there anything missing? Does this make sense to you? And then the third area is the big part of the strategy, those 8 outcome areas. Is there anything in here that you think is missing, either in a specific outcome? Maybe there's something that's relevant that you think we haven't said or we haven't said clearly enough. Also, are there any other outcomes that you think we need? 8 is what we've heard so far, but it might be that you have some other ideas that you want to share with us. And then the final area where we would appreciate some feedback is on the implementation of the strategy. You told us that you wanted this new strategy to be stronger, you wanted it to have teeth. I've talked to you about some of the things that I think make this new strategy strong, but I want to know what you think. Does this give you confidence? Is there something else you think we could do? So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Now you can also jump online and you can tell us what you think through our website, which is www.jointheconversation.nz. You can fill in a survey, you can upload a video, you can send us an email. Any way you want to share your feedback with us is welcomed. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, and I thank everyone who participated in the first phase of consultation, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you think about this draft strategy, and I'm looking forward to your advice and help too to make sure we are on the right track. So thank you so much.